As snow fell this week, Cecilia Klinchek desperately tried to keep her 90-year-old mother and 5-year-old daughter warm after their energy company essentially cut their gas off, leaving them without heating, hot water or a stove to cook on.
Welcome to Unfiltered Lives the Other Side. My name is Charlie Morrison. I was an alcoholic and an addict for over 30 years. I'm now a recovery coach, and this week we are going to be focusing on prepayment meters and the effects that's having on Britain today. As every 10 seconds someone has been cut off in Britain today. That's every 10 seconds someone's been cut off. Let's go and react to this family who went through such an ordeal. Let's go in and react straight away.
Like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea?
No, I don't want anything today.
Okay.
As snow fell this week, Cecilia Klinchek desperately tried to keep her 90-year-old mother and 5-year-old daughter warm after their energy company essentially cut their gas off, leaving them without heating, hot water or a stove to cook on.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I've locked that.
Cecilia spent over 15 hours on the phone trying to sort it out.
Well, emotionally, mentally, it literally drained me. I haven't done anything else since last Wednesday. Literally be on the phone, haven't been able to spend time with my daughter. Watching her say I'm cold, watching my mom say I'm cold and we can't do anything. I said, okay, well, I'll get back on the phone. I'll do my best. Mom, I'll promise I'll sort it out.
And you can already feel the emotionally and the physical pain that this family has went through. They were out and the energy company, what I would say, broke into the house and cut off the gas without their knowledge. I don't know about you, but I can feel their pain. Her mother's 90-year-old, and without any consideration, they cut this family's gas off in the middle of winter.
You came home, what did you find?
Well, my mom and I, we walked through the door, and then I literally was like, what has happened here?
Her provider, SSE, who are owned by OVO Energy, secured a warrant to enter the flat when she wasn't there and switched them to a prepayment meter because the family were in arrears.
I was shocked. I felt like our privacy has been invaded, touching all our stuff.
But they weren't given a card for them to top up, leaving them unable to turn the heating on during the coldest nights of the year.
I thought there's no such thing they can do. I thought this is really illegal. I don't think this is right. If I would have known that this is going to happen, I would have borrowed money. But I didn't think. I thought that with SSC being such a big company and obviously knowing how cold it is, minus, they would never do such things. They won't come into anyone's property in such cold and change their meter, just like that.
They would argue that you owed them money.
Yes.
They sent you a court letter.
Yes. I do understand debt is a debt. And I do understand action needs to be made. But I missed the letter. I had lots on my plate. They should be a little bit more considerate.
Cutting people's energy supply off altogether is rare, but freedom of information requests done by the End Fuel Poverty Coalition shows that it is happening just by the back door. Almost 190,000 court applications were done in the first 6 months of this year to force people onto prepayment meters, where tariffs are higher and you can only switch the light and heating on if you've got the money to do it up front.
Now, I don't know if you heard the contradiction in that. Now, the reporter said at the start of this that cutting people's energy off was rare. Then in the next sentence, she said by the back door, there's 190,000 applications going through the courts to cut people off, which ultimately means that if you don't have money for your gas and electric, you ain't getting gas and electric. You ain't getting gas and electric if you do not have money in 2024. Let me tell you another statistic by Citizens Advice. 370,000 were forced by the court order to have prepayments installed. That's a court order. Let that sink in. 370,000 people were court order by the energy firm themselves. That's 370,000 people or families being cut off by a court order. It blows my mind. These people simply can't afford it. They cannot afford it. When is it going to get through to them? It's not that they don't want gas and electric. They don't want to heat themselves. They don't want to get warm. They simply cannot afford it. This is in Britain in 2024. Let me tell you another little statistic here. Britain, and you'll probably already know this, is the highest country in the world. We pay the highest amount in Britain in the world for our electricity. We're 50% higher than France, which is just across the sea from us. We're double that of Australia, and we're more than America. Now, why are we paying the most? And this poor family have been cut off in the death of winter, not known because they owed money. And it takes me back that these energy firms do not see us as people. They see us as number and pound signs. And this is why we do Unfiltered Lives. We want to tell the story of these families, of these people that are out there suffering for profit. I don't know how it makes you feel. Let's jump into the last bit and react to this last bit before I completely blow up, guys, because I'm about to blow.
That's been debated in Parliament this week, questioning whether courts and energy companies are doing due diligence.
Tens of thousands of warrants are being rubber stamped by magistrates in minutes. Now, energy suppliers are supposed to be obliged to consider whether or not somebody is vulnerable before disconnection. I would argue that everyone on a prepayment meter, especially this winter, especially in the middle of a cost of living crisis, is vulnerable.
A concern echoed by Citizens Advice, who directly help people who are struggling to pay.
We've seen more people this year who can't afford to top up their prepayment meters than the last 6 years combined. And we also estimate that by the end of this winter, there'll be 450,000 more people on prepayment meters than there were at the end of the last winter. So what we're asking for from the government is a temporary ban on this practice of moving people onto prepayment meters.
After a week in the cold, the company reinstalled the original meter and the heating is now back on. In a statement, OVO Energy said, "We're very sorry to miss CleanCheck and have visited the property earlier this week to install a smart credit meter. She's on supply, and we've also advised that we will support the family with an affordable repayment plan to cover the cost of their usage." But Cecilia says her mum's health deteriorated as a result.
She looked so unwell. I mean, I burst into tears. I was hugging her, kissing her.
The forced move to prepayment is one that's being repeated in homes across the UK, and without the temporary ban being called for, inevitably more families will suffer a similar fate this winter.
So thank God the energy company seen sense, but I would imagine they only seen sense because Channel 4 News contacted them and they've got out immediately to help this poor family out, and they've basically put the gas and electric back on to help this poor family. So I thank God and I pray to God that this family has been sorted out. But again, that's because they've been found out. And as we know, they've been to Parliament. I think this is one of the biggest scandals. I think this is one of the biggest scandals in the UK today, these prepayment meters. I really, 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 really do. Just another couple of statistics before I end this, because I'm getting really passionate on this. And some of the statistics that my researchers have found out is that prepayment meters, when these court orders and these court warrants put these people on prepayment meters, they are then paying 6% higher than someone who's on direct debit. These are the most vulnerable people in our society, are being asked to pay 6% higher per month on our direct debits per year. It's about £120 a year higher than your normal average Joe who's paying the high tariffs, the high electricity and gas. The most vulnerable are paying 6% higher. They're being forced, not being asked, they're being forced to pay 6% higher for the electric, which is, I think, is one of the biggest scandals in the UK today, or one of the biggest scandals. And the Citizen Advice said there is another 450,000 people probably by the end of this year will go on prepayment meters. What does that work out? Nearly 3.75 million people by the end of this year will be on prepayment meters. And to finish this off, the chap from Citizen Advice said that this year has been the highest in the last 6 years. More people this year that have been put on prepayment meters than the last 6 years. More people, let that sink in, more people have been put on prepayment meters than the last 6 years. Now, what does that tell you when we are going through a crisis in cost of living? This is a crisis in Britain. This is a crisis of a cost of living. I'm going to let that sink in. My name's Charlie. I'm a bit passionate here on Unfiltered Lives. Goodbye from myself and goodbye from the team. Have a lovely day. Take care.